You're going to go on grammar. First, let's go over this and that. Before go to this and that, we memorize this. Singular nouns means one, and pronouns means more than one. This is used to tell about singular nouns. Here's an example. This is a green hen. And that used to describe singular nouns. Here's an example. That bug is big. Now we compare this and that. This talks about one noun that is near or next to you. Here's an example. This monkey is hungry. And that talks about one noun that is far or far away from you. Here's an example. That is a bird. Now let's move on these and those. Used to tell about pronouns. Here's an example. These are pretty cats. And those used to describe pronouns. Here's an example. Those zebras are ugly. Now we compare these and those. These talks about nouns that is near for you. Here's an example. These are bananas. And those talks about nouns that is far away from you. Here's an example. Those are pencils. Now let's go over linking words. This and that are one naming part, so we use is. Here's an example. That zebra is pretty. And these and those are more than one naming part, so we use are. Here's an example. These books are or. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Advanced Reading for Grade 1. My name is EDLEN, and today I'll be sharing part 2 of Lesson 14, The Rainy Day. Our focus today will be on vocabulary. Together, we'll learn vocabulary in a unique way. Instead of just memorizing words, we explain their meanings and using them in sentences. I'm excited to show you how we learn together. Let's start by exploring some vocabulary words. Nouns first. Nouns are words that name people, places, or things. Our first word is twin. A twin is one of two siblings born at the same time. For example, we would say, they are twins. The next word is living room. A living room is a room in a house for relaxing. For example, we would say, the living room is large. The next word is weather report. The weather report is news about the weather or weather forecast. For example, we could say the weather report began at 7:30. The next word is thunder. A thunder is a sound made by lightning during a storm. For example, we will say the thunder is made by lightning. Another word is board game. A board game is a game played on special board or table. We could say we like to play board games. Lastly, we have closet. A closet is a small room used to store clothes and other things. For example, my closet is full of clothes. Now let's discuss adjectives. Adjectives are describing nouns. Our first word is cloudy. A cloudy is full or covered with clouds or forecast. For example, we will say, today is cloudy and tomorrow will be cloudy too. The next word is rainy. It means having a lot of rain. For example, we will say, yesterday was sunny and today will be rainy. Another word activity is loud. It means making a lot of noise or noisy. For example, the music is too loud. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, I'm Grace. Today we're going to lesson 3, grade 1 from the story Shopping for Surprise. Our focus today will be on part of a story. Now let's move on to part of a story. In a story, we have the title, characters, setting, and the event. First, let's go over the title. Title tells the name of the story. The title of our story today is Shopping for Surprise. Now let's move on to the setting. Setting tells the time or place of the story, or when and where the story takes place. In a story, it takes place one morning, and it takes place at the supermarket. Now let's move on to the characters. Characters are people or animal who act out in our story. In our story, we have Emily, Miles, and Mr. Jones. Now let's move on to the event. Event tells what happens. What happens in the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. In our story, the kids are hungry, so they go to the kitchen, but there is no food in the kitchen, so they go to the supermarket. Let's see what happens next. First, the kids are hungry, so they go to the kitchen, but there is no food in the kitchen. So, Mr. John drives to the supermarket, and Emily and Miles wear seat belts in the car. In the store, Emily wants strawberry ice cream, but Mr. John puts strawberries in the cart. And Miles wants peanut candy, but Mr. John puts a bag of peanuts in the cart. And they put milk, butter, sugar, and flour in the cart. At last, they get eggs. In the end, they go to the bookstore next to the supermarket. Miles buys a book about baseball, and Mr. John buys a book too. When they arrive home, Mr. John takes out his new cookbook and makes peanut pancake with strawberries on top. Now let's move on to the problem and solution. In the story, there might be problem or solution. First, let's go over the problem. Problem tells the trouble that needs to be fixed. In our story, the kids are hungry, so they go to the kitchen, but there is no food. That is problem. Now let's move on to the solution. Solution is an answer to the problem. In our story, Mr. John buys some food in the store. That is a solution in our story today. Thank you for listening.